WWE potentially signing a former AEW star, also AEW new hiring. We're going to talk about that plus so much more right here on The Angle Show. Welcome back to the channel. Yes, we got the giveaway. Yes, we got a lot of things happening on the channel before WrestleMania week. And yes, we're going to talk about John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin. At some point today, I will also have another video on more Angle that details this in in a lot more detail. It's going to be called WWE Did This on Purpose. But obviously, what we're talking about here actually has a lot to do with this right here, which is John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin being on the production truck. Now, why are we talking about this? WrestleVotes came out and essentially said that this was done on purpose, and WWE does pretty much have some plans for WrestleMania 40 involving John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That shouldn't necessarily be shocking. I think for a lot of reasons, I think people understand that John Cena and Stone Cold, obviously, they're mainstay names at WWE. John Cena has talked about wanting to be on WrestleMania 40. Obviously, we don't know if they're going to wrestle or whatever, but I think it is important that we at least acknowledge that in some capacity they should be there. I think also for John Cena, you got to keep in mind now he's this Hollywood actor. He's at the award shows, and look, John Cena, at the end of the day, he's going to put that stuff first. So I don't expect to see John Cena put himself in harm's way. Now, Stone Cold, on the other hand, you never know. Keep in mind, CM Punk is also going to be special guest commentator for WWE WrestleMania 40, in which Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins will take place for the World Championship. So yeah, I mean, look, like even that, maybe you could tease something with CM Punk and Stone Cold backstage. I don't know. There's just so much stuff that you could do, and I hope that WWE does it because this is an opportunity. We know that John Cena will not be doing this much longer. Stone Cold Steve Austin, I mean, it's just a blessing the fact that he even shows up every so often now, because for a long time it didn't seem like that was possible. So WWE does have plans there. This was absolutely done on purpose. We talk about this on the main channel, as well as more Angle. We talked about this a little bit on the live stream as well. So guys, if you're not subscribed, if you're not watching the channel, if you are, anything like that, if you're not paying attention, you might not know what's really happening. And WWE is teasing a lot of things in the background of their segments and a lot of things in the background of their show. These little Easter eggs are happening, and they're going over people's heads because they're not paying attention. And we saw a lot of them on WWE Raw, so keep that in mind. There is more expected, and we're getting closer and closer to WrestleMania, so we'll see how it all unfolds. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to our next topic of today's video. AEW has a new hiring, which is interesting because we talked about this for a while now, and we never really knew why AEW didn't announce it. Maybe they were doing a tryout. I don't know. But today, Tony Khan announced that Kosha Irby has officially joined All Elite Wrestling as a Chief Operating Officer, COO. Irby will oversee all strategic planning and execution of live events, marketing, finance, human resources, licensing, consumer products, and other major lines of business for the company. He joins AEW from Clemson University, where he served as Chief Marketing Officer within the the athletic department, and he's previously held positions within the Memphis Express of the Alliance of American Football as Chief Marketing Officer, Professional Bull Riders as President, and he was the Regional Director of Live Events for WWE. Tony Khan says that Kosha brings decades of experience within the sports, entertainment, and wrestling industries, alongside an incredible work ethic and passion for our brand. As Chief Operating Officer, he will be a phenomenal asset to AEW as we enter the next phase of the company's ongoing business development and expansion. So basically, Tony Khan is saying that they are heading into expansion. What does that mean? There's obviously not a lot of details involved in that, but I said this before months ago when Kosha Irby was even rumored to come into the company. We didn't know what it would be. I was a little confused at the time. Hey, is he doing like Jeff Jarrett's position? Because that was kind of the question mark at that time. But I didn't even know who he was in WWE, right? But when you look at somebody who has experience with tours and business events and stuff like that, I mean, in my opinion, the way I'm looking at that is, hey, this person's definitely qualified. If you're working for the WWE on that type of level, you're qualified in this industry. And obviously he has a little bit of he has a little bit of experience in an area where AEW needs that help, right? So he fills a void for AEW. And I think for AEW, it's a good thing. Like, hopefully, I feel like as of late, they've been a lot better. This really angers people for some reason. I'm not necessarily sure why. If I don't like AEW, if I criticize AEW, I'm a paid shill by WWE. And then when AEW starts to do things that are good again, it's like they disagree with this. And I think the reality is that I just genuinely don't care anymore. About those types of conversations, because I think if you look at my history and track record as a content creator, all of these companies get judged pretty fairly, and I just want them to do well. And I think I've definitely been hard on AEW, and I've definitely been hard on WWE, but I think what people need to understand is that if I'm not hard on these companies for the way I enjoy wrestling, my way of enjoying wrestling is definitely different than yours, right? And like, you enjoy whatever the hell you want. I don't really care what you do with your time, right? Like, if you enjoy AEW, love AEW, support AEW. They need you. I think for me, I've seen AEW really improve this year. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. I'm not going to pretend that it is, but they have improved a lot this year. And in the last month and a half, we're seeing a lot more improvement. So for me, I look at a hiring like this and I say, yeah, thankfully they've made some changes, right? You bring in a former WWE writer, the IWC goes crazy and they say, well, hey, hold on. That's a WWE writer who came from a soap opera. Why is AEW hiring her? And I'm thinking like, hey, thank God they hired her. They needed somebody with that type of experience to help. And you're seeing it pay off, in my opinion. So yeah, good hiring, in my opinion. I look forward to seeing what's next. And that brings us to Mike Santana, who has openly talked about potentially going to WWE. Obviously, him and Ortiz split. It's really unfortunate. But he did a really cool podcast with Chris Van Vliet. If you guys didn't watch it, highly recommend it. I personally was a big fan of the entire interview, but I really enjoy what he was saying about WWE and just overall the free agent market, because one of the big things I've been saying on my live streams is, hey, I could see him at NXT as Stand and Deliver, and I could see him in TNA, right? On whether or not he would go to WWE, he actually has already come out and said, I've had some discussions. I've been very open with everybody. Right now it's just going where I'm going to be able to go and grow the most. I don't want to be just another guy on the roster. I already did that. I want to be a part of something. I want to do something special. Thankfully, I've been smart with money and I'm not hurting and I'm taking my time with things. And, I just want to have fun. And then obviously in regards to TNA and all these other companies, he says everything is on the table and they're doing great. They're doing amazing. So if he goes to TNA, I think that's probably the most ideal spot for him, because TNA is losing talent at the moment and TNA could benefit from bringing him in. But also they brought in Hammerstone too. So it depends how you're trying to push the singles guy. And then I think you got to factor in WWE. NXT is a great way for him to go into NXT, get familiar with WWE's way of doing things, right? Because he came from AEW, it's completely different. Get him familiar with WWE's way of doing things, put him in the North American Championship or the World Championship scene, and then after 6 months, move him to the main roster. Give him the Dragon Lee treatment, have him debut in the crowd as Stand and Deliver, just like the old TakeOver days, and I think WWE will get him going. He's a great talent, and he's a singles talent. He will flourish in WWE, but probably better, I want to say utilized, but it's hard to say who would be utilized better. Or who would do the utilization better. But I would say TNA probably is more ideal in the sense of their roster is a lot less bloated. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.